All right, we are live on Facebook. That's perfect. All right. Well, welcome everybody to another episode of the Climate Action Homes podcast. My name is Joan Gregerson, and I am a real estate agent with Your Castle Realty in Denver, Colorado. And I'm so excited because today we're going to be talking with Carrie Martin-Haley of Summit Sustainable Goods. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, how's it going?
It is going great. Thank you for joining us. So we're going to be doing a demo. Carrie's going to show us around her shop and show us some of the handcrafted natural products, zero waste, forget about plastic, our dream come true, with those kind of things that we'd all love to be using more of for our bodies and our homes. But in the meantime, I want to do a quick thing to let you know about some of the things that we have coming up. On March 16th, we have our first time homebuyers course, and that is going to be a lot of fun. We're doing it with Chad Bergman, who is a lender with Movement Mortgage. And the way we're doing it is kind of a visioning thing, so that if you've been wanting to get into a house and you kind of want to work on your mindset, you want to have a team, you want to set some goals for yourself, and know what really is possible, what are the areas that you could be working on to make that happen. That's what we'll be doing. That'll be fun. And we're also going to have a gift certificate from Summit Sustainable Goods for somebody who attends that class. So that will be super fun. And then next week, which is February 28th, we will actually have Chad Bergman on talking about what you need to know for buying a home in 2022. The next week will be Erin Murphy talking about regenerative landscape design. And then March 14th will be Paul Kreischer talking about the heart of a building. And that is a series on PBS, and he's the producer, and he goes out and identifies high efficiency homes. And most of these have been in the Colorado area. So I think those will all be super cool opportunities to participate in. So if you're interested in any of those, then you can go to climateactionhomes.com, and under events, you'll get the link to go to our Eventbrite space and register for any of those. We do the presentation first, that's recorded, and then we do the networking afterwards. So you're always welcome to join us for any and all of that. All right, I think we got our business done. So Carrie, I would love to, do you want to just start by doing a quick introduction of kind of what you're doing right now and how you got into this, being the founder, starting this Summit Sustainable Goods?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the founder and owner of Summit Sustainable Goods, which is a new zero waste shop here in the Denver area. I launched it in September of 2020. So I call it my pandemic baby, and we've been growing slowly ever since. So a little bit about my background. I actually started in education as my career. After a few years working in the Denver metro area as an elementary school teacher, I realized that probably wasn't my passion. And I decided to move into the environmental field. So I worked in a nonprofit for several years where I gained a whole bunch of experience in the environmental sector. From there, I ended up co-founding another sustainable store here in the Denver metro area. And then my former business partner and I split in summer of 2020. She went on to continue growing that business, and I started Summit Sustainable Goods. So we sell household and personal care goods. Everything's designed to be zero waste. So you'll see products that are packaged free, or products that have packaging that can be either recycled or composted. No plastic to speak of, as you mentioned, Joan. And then everything is made here in the US. I have one manufacturer that's based down in Austin, Texas. Everything else is made right here in Colorado. So we have suppliers who are here in Denver, down in Centennial, up in Fort Collins, over on the Eastern Plains, all over. So we're really dedicated to working with small businesses to make sure that we're staying really local and staying small in terms of our carbon footprint. And then everything has been really vetted to make sure it is clean ingredients. So those household and there's those personal care products that you'll find with us are going to have really simple ingredients, really clean, all natural. We try as hard as we can to avoid palm oil, to avoid things like mica. So making sure that we're keeping it sustainable at all levels.
Terrific. That was a really great introduction. And I think what I love about this is that I think for a lot of us, we would like to know what all those local businesses are and being able to support them. But the word that when we were talking earlier was the idea about that you're curating these. So you're going out and finding these different folks and some of these different products. And so do you want to show us around now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am part of a collective for Made to Last Market, which is where I am right now. I have a little station here that includes my new refill station that I'm really excited about. You can also find me online and through pop-ups in the Denver metro area. So you can find all that information about how to shop with me on my website. But let's go ahead and walk over to my space here. So let me flip my camera so everybody who's watching with us can see. All right. So here's my little space. I have a variety of different products. As I said, all household and personal care goods. So you can see items like facial care soap bars. We have reusable bags that you can throw just right in your wash rather than using single-use Ziploc bags. We have dryer balls. We have laundry powder. We have reusable facial rounds. We can talk a little bit about those guys in a little bit. We have things like lip balm and compostable tubes. Laundry stain sticks, sponges that can be washed again rather than thrown out, as well as dish soap. Then we have some really fabulous sustainable candles here that are made with soy wax, locally made here in Denver. We've got really cool items like shaving soap and then solid lotion bars, which are some of my favorites. And then up here, we've got my whole refill station. So right now I have just a few options. Stay tuned because we are definitely expanding out in the next couple months here. But we've got products from both Juniper Seed Mercantile down in Centennial, and then Joe's Body Shop is our newest expansion. These guys are awesome. They're Denver based and same thing. So we've got really clean ingredients from things like our face mask and our Joe's Body Scrub. And this refill station is really simple. So essentially, let me go ahead and flip my camera. All right, so I have a whole bunch of refill, just clean, sanitized options for jars. If you happen to not have one, if you have one that you want to bring in, you're more than welcome to bring in your own container. So all you would do is you would grab whatever container you want, make sure to weigh it at the scale, take note of that weight, that weight, and then you're going to choose whatever item that you want to refill. So you would, obviously take off the cap, fill whatever you want to out of the pump, and then come back here and weigh it again and find that difference. If you need something to write with, we have some little paper right here. And then all you have to do is bring that up to the counter and pay. You can have it do as many at one time as you want to. As I said, bring in your own container, or you can use one of our free options as well. So that's our refill station. I'm really excited about that new expansion. I think it's a really great way to make sure you're minimizing what you can from the products that you use every single day. I'll show you the other side. So we've got—
I was just gonna say on that that refill stuff, that is just such a cool, that's such a cool thing. I know that in some of the stores, I feel like some of them are starting to go that way, but you feel like you're annoying them sometimes by doing that. I know a friend of mine said that she's been through, I can't remember which store it was, but like 5 different times, and each time explaining to the person at the register, I did this before, this is how you do it. So anyhow, it's just nice to have it be where it's the norm, rather than you feeling like you're having to explain to the people that are selling it to you, like, I didn't come for plastic, I came for shampoo or soap or something like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, definitely. And we are more than welcome. If this is your first time doing refills, I'm more than happy to help you out with this station and kind of walk you through how to do it the first time. If you're comfortable, go for it yourself. I know that, you know, one of our missions is to really make sure that we're being as intimidation free as possible. So whatever the customer needs and stepping into that journey, we're totally willing to start there and work forward with you.
I like that, intimidation free.
Right.
Yeah, that's important, because I think a lot of it does really come off as very judgy and very negative messaging of like, don't do this, don't do that. And so to help people wherever they are is important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep going with the tour.
All right. Flip my camera again. All right. So we've some of the other items that we have. So reusable paper towels are some of the favorites. These are really cool because they are just little flannel sheets. Let's see if I can get this undone with just one hand.
You can set the camera down if you need to. Wow, that was pretty
got
good.
it. So these guys pull off and they stick
Oh, that's so cute.
a regular paper towel. You can throw it right into your wash, and then when you're done, it just slides right back on there. Pardon how pretty it looks the second time. Doing this with one hand is challenging. There you go.
Cute. Oh my gosh.
That's one of the favorites. We've got some really great products like reusable food wraps that would replace basic single-use plastic. So this would replace.
Could you bring that a little closer to the camera? Yeah.
So we have both vegan versions as well as beeswax options, whatever your preference is. And essentially what it is it's treated fabric that warms with the heat of your hands. And so you can secure it around the edge of a bowl or around a piece of fruit, whatever you need to keep, clean and fresh in your fridge. And when you're done using it, you just rinse it with some gentle cold water. And then I go ahead and let mine dry fully. And then I fold it up and store it for the next time I need it. I've had it for probably over 2 years and they've been working really well for me.
Wow.
So one of my favorite simple swaps, we've got some really great things like deodorant blocks that you can see here. We can talk about these a little bit more in a little bit. We've got cute little solid perfumes that are fabulous for on the go. Johnny drops, which are kind of like bath bombs for your toilet. So they clean without any kind of the harsh contaminants that you would get in a typical toilet. Then we have some
Johnny
fun
drops.
Yeah. And these guys are from Juniper Seed Mercantile, which is one of our fabulous suppliers. We've got some things like mouthwash crystals, tooth suds, which is like soap for your teeth, handmade cards from a local supplier. We've got beautiful soaps from a newer company based in Denver. And then we have shampoo and conditioner bars. We have some hair cream that's going to be like a really deep hair moisturizing mask. And then we've got these cool loofah slices. So these are going to be really great exfoliators. These just come from plants. They're really cool. They come from the cucumber family, and when you dry them out, they look like this, and you wet them and they soften up a little bit, and they're great for skin exfoliation without that plastic that you're going to get in a lot of other products. And then we have things like beard balm. So these are great for anybody with facial hair who wants to moisturize a little bit, and then it provides a little bit of structure as well if you're trying to shape it in any way. So lots of fun products. We're always looking at expanding. but this is primarily what we have available here at Made to Last. And as I said, I have pop-ups throughout the year that I participate in, and I have all of my products as well online.
And Carrie, also, I was going to ask you, so you're supporting a lot of local, so all those products were made in Colorado?
I have two of my products that are made outside of Colorado. So my deodorant blocks and my vegan dish block, which is down here, those are made down in Austin, Texas. Everything else that you see here is made locally here in Colorado.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I was also going to ask you about, we were talking earlier about opportunities for featuring products from Black entrepreneurs. And I think that you said that some of your products are from some local business people here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Joe's Body Shop, as I mentioned, is one of my newest suppliers. So both Joe's face mask and the Joe's Body Scrub are going to be from Black entrepreneurs here in Colorado. And then we will be expanding out to a couple other products here in the next couple of months that are going to feature women of color that are entrepreneurs with us.
Yeah, that's great. That is so cool. So what are some of the pop-ups that are coming up? Like, where can people find you? So, and maybe you could mention your online store and your location, your Made to Last location as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can start there. So here, where I am right now is Made to Last Market, and that's in Belmar on Alaska Street. So you can find me here in Lakewood. We're open 6 days a week, Tuesday through Sunday, from 11 o'clock until 6 o'clock. And then Sunday we're open 11 till 5. So you can always find my products here. As you said, always online. You can find any of my products, as well as where you can find me elsewhere. Some of the pop-ups that I'll be participating in over the next few months include, I have one that's happening up in Old Town, Arvada. I'm really excited for that one. That's going to be a St. Patrick's Day festival. I believe that's March 12th. And that'll be a good chunk of the day. So you can find me there. If you Google the Old Town Arvada St. Patrick's Day festival, you'll be able to find some additional information about that. And then starting in April, I'll be starting my farmers markets, believe it or not. So Saturdays and Sundays, you can find me in Highlands Ranch on Saturdays. And then on Sundays, you can find me down at Aspen Grove, and that'll be through the month of April. And then starting in May and going through September, you can find me in Westminster on Sundays at the Orchard Farmers Market, and then at University Hills, which is down in the Denver area, right next to the brand new Target that they opened up. So that'll happen every Saturday. So plenty of places you can find me, and I'm always adding more. I'm working with a local brewing company right now to be able to do one within the next few weeks. So I'm really looking forward to doing another one in March. And as I find more markets and more pop-ups, I will be adding that to my site. So if you go to the Find Us tab on that or on my website, you'll be able to find all of that information.
And so that's summitsustainablegoods.eco.
You got it.
Is the name of the website, summitsustainablegoods.eco. Okay, that's great. Well, and also, maybe if people are planning events and they're looking for somebody to come represent, some products, because I think we're always telling people to do this stuff, but it's not that easy if you can't actually find them. I thought it was interesting too that you were saying earlier when we were talking that if somebody orders it and they're in the Denver area, that you will deliver.
Yes, absolutely. So we have free local Denver delivery. I try to get out to you within 1 to 5 days after you put in your purchase, and I can drop it off straight to your door. I've even dropped it off to people's offices if that's easier. As long as you're in the Denver area, I'm more than happy to do that. We also have shipping nationwide.
Great. That's cool. Okay, so then Carrie, just kind of zooming back to the whole focus of the Climate Action Homes podcast is giving people a way to take some positive action, and in connection also, like with what I did with Green Team Academy, is more of this community thing, you know, that you're not just, we don't want to tell you you have to do this thing alone. We really want you to become part of these different communities. So Climate Action Homes, we have a community, we have a Facebook group, and we're in there just helping each other. So all the different podcast guests that come on are invited to be in the Facebook group and then sticking around, popping in at any time for our networking. So I wanted to ask you the question, Carrie, of environmentally, I can tell that like the products that you're choosing are positive. How do you think that people that are trying to reduce their carbon footprint, how does using some of the products that you mentioned, how do you feel like it reduces their carbon footprint?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So one of the benefits of us sourcing the majority of what we sell here in Colorado is that it greatly reduces that shipping carbon footprint, because we're not having to ship stuff directly from China or from across seas. And so that keeps our bubble really small, which means that from the time it gets from the supplier to us is going to be a much smaller chain, as well as from when it gets from us to your hands. So that's going to be one of the really obvious pieces of carbon decrease that we can, that we can say we make a really big impact. The other thing is just the fact that we are not contributing to landfill. So the fact that we're a zero waste store means that nothing is going to end up in landfill at the end of your use. We know that landfill creates quite a bit of carbon dioxide and other really toxic chemicals like methane. And so by choosing to substitute out some of these zero waste items and decreasing what you put into your trash can every week or every month, you're going to be making a really big impact on lowering your personal carbon footprint through just making some simple switches in your life, and you feel ready for them.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's such a great idea. And I think during the pandemic, we've really seen the folly of this just-in-time manufacturing, like find out where it's cheapest in the world and then ship it. That, it's like, well, for one thing, there might be other issues that happen. So just from a resiliency standpoint, just like during the pandemic when stores were closing and things were shrinking down, that being able to have these connections right in your community is so important, and it's so logical,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I was also wondering, Carrie, what about some of the products? I know that when you're choosing products, you're not only looking at zero waste, but the ingredients themselves. And so what would you say are some of the ingredients that you feel like are, unfortunately, there's a very long list of things that get kind of slipped into products that most of us don't know about. So what is a product that you or a chemical or something that you'd like people to kind of be aware of, and an option that you have that kind of avoids that or has a better alternative?
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't source anything that has parabens or phthalates. We don't have anything that has artificial perfumes. So it's all essential oils, natural ingredients. One of the things I try to avoid as much as possible is palm oil, because it's so devastating to our rainforests. And you find, palm oil, if you take a look at any ingredients list, chances are palm oil is going to show up because it's so prevalent. So for example, here's my lavender lotion that I actually got a refill of just this last week. This does not have palm oil. If you look at a lot of the ingredients of drugstore or big box lotions, you're going to see palm oil listed. So this is a really great way to make sure that your products don't have any parabens or phthalates or palm oil. So this is this is a really great switch. Similarly, we do have a couple of our products that have palm oil, and we make sure that anything that has palm oil is going to be certified as rainforest safe or environmentally safe. So this guy, for example, I think this the conditioner bar is okay. This doesn't have any palm oil. However, the shampoo bar for Spinster Sisters does have a little bit of palm oil in it, and they make sure that it's ethically manufactured so that it's not harming the environment and still giving back to what we need to do to make sure that the places where we're extracting the palm oil and harvesting the palm oil is still going to stay safe environmentally.
Okay, yeah, that's great. That's great to know. I mean, yeah, palm oil, gosh, it's just crazy. If you look at any snack food, it's in there. It's kind of it's like the high fructose corn syrup of
Yes.
oil or something. It's everywhere, and it is a very devastating product. And we don't need it. Like there's other ways that we can do it. How about parabens? What is the issue with parabens, and what are the products that you tend to find those in?
Yeah, so parabens have a lot of benefits that scientifically, or I'm sorry, have a lot of issues that scientifically we're just unsure about. We know that it has the potential to connect back to things like endocrine disruption, hormone imbalances in people, and just tends to be really icky for health. And it's something that there's still a lot of research being done about it. So, you know, I'm not a scientist. I can't speak to any of the specifics. However, if you look up parabens, there are a lot of there's a lot of research going on as to the negative impacts of it on human health. So that's one of the things that we make sure. One of the first questions that I ask for any new supplier is, do you have any parabens? Do you have any phthalates? Do you have any harmful chemicals or what we consider contaminants in your products? And then see what their answer is in response. And then I try to make sure that any of the products that I sell or that I choose as any of my wholesale options do not have any of those, because I want to make sure that anything that you buy from me is going to feel really safe and something that you're comfortable putting onto your body or having in your home regularly.
And I guess that's the thing, is that it's your body, and then the chemicals wash into our water supply, and so for fish and for all that. And so just in the couple minutes that we have left, so what is the issue with phthalates? Like what products do you tend to find those in, and what are some options that you have?
Yeah, great question. So parabens and phthalates, as I've seen, tend to kind of go together. And from my understanding, they have really similar consequences. So as you said, Joan, that's a great point, that they end up not only affecting our health, but they wash into our environment and then can contaminate our waterways. And so we want to make sure we're trying to stay clear of those. And by steering clear of those, we also want to make sure that we're choosing ingredients that are going to be safe and healthy, and not just alternatives that are going to be just as dangerous. And so that's one of the things that I look for in my products. Similarly, like my little so this is my personal deodorant block that I have right now. You can see it's about probably a third of the way done right now. This guy avoids any kind of phthalates, any kind of parabens, and they actually have a really great list of not only the ingredients, but where they source them and why they're a healthier alternative. So that's a great one. If you end up looking at the product page of this guy, you'll see that ingredients list, and then why they're choosing each of those ingredients to be put into this deodorant.
And I think that again, this goes back to that thing that for each of us individually to figure this stuff out, it is basically a research project. And so the reason that I wanted to bring Carrie on was because she's done this research, and she's curating these different products and finding local manufacturers and going away from plastic. Carrie, as we wrap up, the one thing I wanted to ask is, for people that feel kind of dejected about, like, it's so overwhelming, you go through all this to get rid of plastic somewhere, and then you order a salad and it comes in a plastic container with a plastic fork that's covered in a plastic whatever. what is a message that you would share with people who feel kind of dejected? What would you say to folks like that?
I think it's all about the journey. So just as I am still learning things about, for example, parabens and phthalates and how they affect not only our health, but the environment around us, everybody's in a different stage of learning the implications of things like plastic free and ways in which they can live more sustainably or live in a way that feels more authentic to them. I think the big piece for me and the big mission that I have with Summit is to make sure that everybody really understands that this is an intimidation free zone. Whether you are just hearing about zero waste for the very first time, or you're a seasoned expert and more than I do about a lot of these different topics, we are here to learn together. We're here to take that step by step and take your next step in that journey. And whatever you're ready for, whichever next product you want to have, on board into your normal life, or, perhaps a strategy or a mindset that you want to start living into in terms of sustainability, we're here to have those conversations. I think the environmental world tends to get a little scary for folks who are trying to, to start out in this realm. And I think as a business owner personally, and as somebody who's gone through that, it's really important to stay open and remind everybody that, hey, we all start somewhere. And whenever you're ready, we're ready to have that next conversation and to kind of help you on that journey.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it, is as a journey and helping each other. And that's why I really like this community approach, because I know a lot about home energy efficiency, but I don't really know that much about landscaping, or some of these body products. And so I think by each of us having our own expertise and our own ideas, that we can support each other through this whole process. All right. Well, thank you so much, Carrie, for hanging out with us. And as I was saying at the beginning, we're going to be doing these monthly first-time homebuyers courses. And for our March one, we're going to be giving away a gift certificate to Summit Sustainable Goods. So if you've been thinking that you want to, maybe you don't even yet want to say we're going to buy a house, you just want to start thinking about it, start visioning, start making, writing down your goals. That's what we're going to be doing in our March 16th first time homebuyers course. You can go to climateactionhomes.com under events and register for that. And maybe you'll get the gift certificate for Summit Sustainable Goods by signing up and by showing up. All right. So with that, thank you so much, Carrie, for joining us today. And anybody that's on our Zoom, we'll hang out and do our networking and our Q&A. So remember, anytime you want to be part of our event live, then just go ahead and register under Eventbrite. And we'd love to meet with you and see you in our Facebook group and all that good stuff. Okay, thank you so much, Carrie. This is Carrie Martin-Haley from Summit Sustainable Goods. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.